Imagine a world where every taxpayer receives a $5,000 Doge check. What could this mean for our economy? Welcome to a fascinating discussion on the potential of the $5,000 Doge checks. This intriguing concept was proposed by none other than President Trump and Elon Musk. They envision a scenario where taxpayers above a certain income level could receive a substantial windfall funded by the Department of Government Efficiency, DOGE. This department, aptly abbreviated as DOGE, has set itself a monumental task. It aims to identify and implement savings across federal agencies that would amount to a staggering $2 trillion annually. Should they succeed, this would be the funding source for the proposed DOGE checks. The idea is to distribute these checks to tax-paying households above a certain income level. Unlike previous stimulus packages, this proposal targets a specific demographic. The intention is to inject a significant sum into the hands of taxpayers, potentially stimulating economic activity and growth. But as with any proposal of such magnitude, there are questions and concerns. What would be the economic impact of such a large-scale distribution of wealth? Could it lead to inflationary consequences? And then, of course, there's the question of feasibility. Can the DOGE really achieve its $2 trillion savings goal? But could these checks have unintended consequences, and are they even feasible? We'll delve deeper into these questions in the next scenes. Stay tuned for an exciting exploration of economic theory, practicality, and the potential ripple effects of the $5,000 DOGE checks. Economists are divided on the potential impact of these checks. As with any significant economic policy, the proposed $5,000 DOGE checks have sparked a lively debate among economists. On one side of the ring, some experts believe that these checks could stimulate economic growth. Their argument is that by putting more money into the hands of consumers, spending will increase, leading to a rise in demand for goods and services. This, in turn, could jumpstart the economy, pushing businesses to hire more, produce more, and ultimately, grow more. However, on the other side of the debate, there are those who fear that these checks could lead to inflation. Their concern is that injecting a large amount of money into the economy could cause prices to skyrocket. If everyone suddenly has an extra $5,000 to spend, then demand could outstrip supply, and businesses might respond by raising their prices. This could cause the cost of living to increase, potentially wiping out the benefit of the checks in the first place. Adding to the complexity of this conversation is the uncertainty surrounding the feasibility of this policy. For starters, there are legal issues to consider. Congress holds the power of the purse, and it's unclear whether they would approve of such a massive distribution of funds. Furthermore, there are doubts about DOGE's ability to achieve the significant savings necessary to fund these checks. The agency has set an ambitious goal of $2 trillion in annual savings, but reaching this target is no small feat. Even slight discrepancies in reported savings could have a major impact on the size of the checks. So, while the idea of a $5,000 check may sound appealing, we must consider the potential economic consequences. We must also grapple with the uncertainty surrounding this policy's feasibility. This leaves us with the question, could these checks cause more harm than good? But what if the $5,000 DOGE checks end up being less than promised? This question is worth exploring as there's a fair amount of skepticism circling around the size of these checks. Some analysts are suggesting that the actual payouts might be significantly smaller, possibly as low as $70 per household. That's a far cry from the initial promise of $5,000, isn't it? The belief in these smaller checks stems from doubts about the feasibility of achieving $2 trillion in savings. It's a lofty goal, and while the Department of Government Efficiency has made significant strides in reducing costs, reaching that $2 trillion mark might be a stretch. Then there are the structural constraints in the federal budget to consider. Federal spending is a complex machine with countless moving parts, and it's not as simple as just cutting costs here and there. There are legal issues surrounding Congress's authority over spending, and discrepancies in reported savings add to the uncertainty. All these factors combined paint a picture of a scenario where the checks might not be as substantial as initially promised. In fact, they may end up being more symbolic than transformative. Symbolic gestures have their place, of course. They can serve to illustrate a commitment to fiscal responsibility and reducing the federal debt. But when promises of $5,000 checks are made, a symbolic gesture might not be what people are hoping for. So, as we wade through the sea of speculation and skepticism, we have to ask ourselves, Are these $5,000 Doge checks a promising prospect or a pipe dream? This is a complex issue with many varying opinions. Indeed, the potential of $5,000 Doge checks is not a simple matter to dissect. We've delved into the crux of the topic, dissecting the potential for an economic boost, the threat of inflation, and the possibility of smaller checks and symbolic gestures. As we've seen, the idea of issuing $5,000 Doge dividend checks to taxpayers is a double-edged sword. On one hand, it could stimulate the economy, encouraging spending and investment. On the other hand, economists have raised concerns about the inflationary consequences of such a large financial injection into the economy. The feasibility of the Doge checks is also under scrutiny. The Department of Government Efficiency aims to save $2 trillion annually, but there are doubts about their ability to meet this target. If the savings fall short, the resultant Doge checks could be significantly smaller than the proposed $5,000. Lastly, we've considered the perspective that these checks might end up being more symbolic than transformative. If the actual savings are considerably less than the optimistic $2 trillion target, the checks might serve as a gesture of intent, rather than a substantial financial boon for households. But remember, these are just interpretations and projections based on the information currently available. The true impact of the $5,000 Doge checks, should they materialize, remains to be seen. It's crucial to stay informed, to question, and to think critically. And that's where you come in. What's your take on the $5,000 Doge checks? Are they a potential economic boost or a pathway to inflation? Do you think the checks will be as substantial as proposed, or do you anticipate smaller amounts? Could these checks be more of a symbolic gesture than a transformative initiative? We'd love to hear your thoughts on the $5,000 Doge checks. Share your views in the comments section. Thank you for watching Topics on Trend. Go ahead and check out another trending video on our channel here, like subscribe, comment, and share.